tonight we're going to demonstrate how to make a lidded box, but not just any old lidded box. This is a box that's in the shape of a cupcake, and there, various different varieties you can make. Got another one here like this with a little cherry on top, and you make it even bigger. You can go to something, you know, even bigger than a normal cupcake. Um, to start with, I'd like to say that this isn't my concept. Actually, I saw an IRD by Theo Haralamopu. I don't think I butchered his name too bad, but he's from Brisbane, Australia, and this demo was done about 3 or 4 years ago. He was a really wonderful turner. I think he's very creative and a great teacher. And these cupcakes, these demos were done by, they were sponsored by Record Power. And Ruby, you were probably there. I don't remember if you were or not, but you usually assisted in these demos. Um, so
Yes.
yeah, okay. So I don't like to take credit for things I don't do, right? And so by explanation of this next part, I had only been turning about 6 months when the COVID lockdowns went into effect. And then I watched a lot of YouTube videos and DVDs and IRDs like the one Theo put on. And as you're going to see in a minute, I'm a very detail oriented person and I like documentation. So when I was watching the demo, I took a lot of notes. I put together the process and then I tested it and retested it and wrote down each step and recorded the tools I used and all that kind of stuff because I was a new turner. So anyway, so this is I'm going to show you this what I put together. So this is my low fat high fiber cupcake box. And with thanks to Theo, if you look at the very top, I don't take credit for this, but anyway, I had to try and figure out how to do this. So I wrote it all down, and this is there's 25 steps in the just doing the base of the cupcake, believe it or not, and then you do the lid. It takes another 22 steps, and you know, Captain Eddie was just talking about documentation. The other thing I did was a little after I did this, for myself, I did a demo for my local club and created a PowerPoint of images, and this is the PowerPoint of how this is done. So you start with a blank, make a taper in it for the taper of the cupcake base, and I had to make a router platform and a router cradle. And you can buy these things online, and I think Theo said Vermec over in New Zealand makes these products, but I'm kind of cheap, so I did it myself. Anyway, and then this goes into how you actually go about setting everything up and turning the base and hollowing it out, and then making the lid. So hopefully this will go well tonight. So that's kind of the end result here. So you go back to my front camera. So anyway, the interesting thing about cupcakes is this is a cupcake pan from our house, right? And I think this is the same size pan or the same size box that Theo made. That's like 50 millimeters on the bottom and 75 millimeters on the top, and about 35 millimeters tall. That's a typical cupcake base anyway. And so I actually like these cupcakes a little taller. I don't think they look too out of proportion by making them a little taller, but if you do that, you can. There's more room for M&Ms or Smarties or jelly beans, whatever you're going to put in them. So let me put these out of the way here. So anyway, you start with a blank about 3 inches square. That's about 76 millimeters square by about 4 inches long, and that's 102 millimeters. And I work in millimeters in the metric system more than I do in the English system because it's just easier to do. I usually start with a tight grain wood like maple, and that's kind of the start of this whole thing. So I've actually turned this round because I didn't want to bore you guys by just turning a piece of square wood round, and I put a tenon on it. And I see a lot of people using calipers to do tenons. But one of the guys at the club made these things up. Basically, it's a Forstner bit. You drill a hole in a piece of wood, cut it off, and then when you're turning, you can actually put this on, and it gets to turn to the right diameter. So I'm going to take this off now. Okay. knock out my. All right. I have one of those Tool Nova lathes that somebody was asking about, right? Whether or not they're gonna be in business for a while, but anyway, so basically you turn it around, put a tenant on it, and then you reverse mount it, reverse mount the blank. All righty. I'm having a hard time this today. Let me do it this way. Here we go. All right. All right. Now the next part of this is to turn the taper, and the top of the taper, as I said before, was 65 millimeters. So I have again one of these things that I made up to actually set that. I've made a lot of these cupcakes, right? And then about 2 inches down, or 50 millimeters down, since I make these taller than a typical cupcake, I'll make a mark at of course, here's my pencil. I don't know if you can see this very well, but I'm making a mark at 50 millimeters. And this actually, this whole process, it's when I say Theo is such a good, smart guy. We're going to make the base of the cupcake on this part of the blank, and then we're going to make the lid on this part of the blank here. So it's one piece of wood that makes this box. All right. So let me put on my safety gear here. All right. Okay, first, just make this first one 50 millimeters. Too big. Okay, that's 50 millimeters there, and I'm going to turn this down to 65. Okay, so that's done. I just realized that this wasn't very tight there. Okay, the next step is to turn the paper from 65 millimeters down to 50 millimeters. And I'm going to use a roughing gouge to do that. Okay, then usually I use a straight edge to try and see if I've done a pretty good job. And actually, not too bad. It's a little bit high here. And I have used a few before to bring it a little more. Okay, let's see the see how we're doing here. And that's just about perfect. So you may ask, one of the things I didn't explain was why, if I'm only making the box 45 millimeters deep, why I made it 50, and that's because I'm using a router to cut the flutes in the bottom of for the cupcake bottom here, and you need a place for the router to run off. Otherwise, there's not enough room. So anyway, let me get my router table here. Now, the other thing, before I go any further, I'm going to talk about a safety aspect here. You got to turn off your lathe so that you don't, when you're using your router, so that you don't turn on the lathe when you're actually trying to turn on the router, which I've done many times, right? So I'm going to go unplug my lathe and the cord from my lathe here, right? I'm going to take that and put it over here. Now I'm going to plug in my router. It's all about being safe here, right?
Yes, looking good.
Okay, good. So this is when I should show this, I guess. This is just a table that I made up by myself. It's a piece of 1 inch steel rod. I cut it to size, and then I drilled a hole in the top, and I tapped it and put a quarter by 20 bolt in it, and then I put a piece of this is a wall um, something you hang on the wall, right? I just found a strap in my bin at home here. So anyway, that's kind of what I made up.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, it works, right? Now the next thing we have to do, you have to line the router. Well, let me show my router too. So this is the router holder I made. Basically, I had a piece of plexiglass laying around, and I cut a couple pieces of maple, I guess, there, and cut it to the right diameter for my trim router, and then put in a 90-degree bit, and this has to cut on the center line. So you go over here to the, there you go. So you have to kind of go over here to the center line of the lathe, which I take the best way to do that is with the okay, there we go, like that. So I've actually,
You're
I don't know if
set.
this comes from the front camera. Probably
You're set.
I would
You're
have
setting the
to
two
move this down.
points. Your router point to the live center point.
Yeah, the router's to the live center point here, right? Oops, wrong way. Oops.
There we go.
Yeah, the idea is you're trying to make sure you're at the center line here, right? And the other thing I do is I disconnect the handle on my tool rest. You may ask why I do that. Well, because I got to move the banjo, the whole banjo. And there's been many times when I've, instead of undoing this, the handle on the banjo, I've undone it on the tool rest, and it falls down.
Uh,
You got to start all over again. So anyway, I've aligned it to the center line now of the lathe. Now I have to align the
can we
front
switch
of this.
cameras?
Oh, I can do the overhead. You want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I want to do is align this up, and I'm trying to line the front of this steel bar here with the taper in the cupcake bottom here. And usually the best thing to do is just make a trial pass here. And I'm using the indexer on my lathe. It's a 24 position indexer. I got that locked down now. Right. And I'm going to start cutting my first flute. So the next index position, another flute, right? Now, I don't know if you can see this. Probably, I can't see that very well, but it's not exactly perfectly lined up. That means that the banjo is lined up exactly with the paper, which is it's okay, right? And I don't know if the camera will show this or not. Probably not, but it doesn't show it that well. So anyway, what you have to
And
do is you have to fool with it a little bit. Let me go back to the where it was set up originally. I'm locked in. So I'm loosening up my banjo a little bit. Maybe go a little bit deeper. There you go, like that. Okay. Yeah. So I went and reached for the lathe to turn on the lathe. I don't know why you do that, but I it's
of
a
course,
really
I
terrible
have it.
thing to do.
Muscle memory.
Can't really do it. Couldn't. Okay. I did it again. Okay. I'm gonna do one moment here. Now for the next. Okay, so that's how you do this, right? That's how you make the cuts in the for the flute. Now
Okay.
I'm not going to make you guys watch me while I do a whole bunch of these flutes, right? So I've actually done the Rachel Ray thing, and I've got another one that I've already, another um, bottom that I've already worked on. But the next step you have after you cut all these flutes around the outside is you need use there's some sandpaper. Here we go. Use some sandpaper and do a little bit of quick sanding, right? Not very hard to do actually because this cuts very cleanly. I think. You do this. The, so this is what I'm doing basically, just sanding these flutes. And what I like to do actually is I use denatured alcohol first, and I clean the slots out. Okay, and then but I shouldn't have done that actually. I should have just told you about it. So the next thing to do is to actually color these, or you can wait and color this after you've done it after you've completely taken it off the lathe. I've done it both ways. It works both ways. But basically, you just oops, again, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? You just color these blues the different colors, right?
Oh, okay.
And these are Tombow dual tip pens. Oops, there you go, like that. And you just color it, and away you go. So, all right, so we're going to stop there. You take this off now. Okay, it's not going to work. I don't know what I'm doing. Let me take this off here. I'm going to take the whole thing off. I just need to take this off. So this particular cupcake base, I've already done cut all the flutes and I colored it red. You just pretend like it's been sitting in here this whole time, right? Mhm.
Good choice of color.
Well, you can do any color you want. They're pretty any way you do it.
No, it shows up great for the camera.
Oh, great. Yeah, it's almost the color of my fox there,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so now I gotta put my lever back in here in my tool rest. Pull this thing out. And I have to, sorry, I'm going out of the camera guys,
You're
but
fine.
I have
You're,
to
you're good.
I got to plug my lathe back in, right? Because I had it unplugged. And I'm actually going to unplug my router. I don't like leaving that thing plugged in.
Yep. Safety.
Yep, that's right. All right. So this is what it kind of looks like from the top, right? And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to so one of the things I didn't do on the should have showed that on the this blank that I just did. You really need to flatten this top before you actually make any of these flutes because you can have a really big tear out if you're trying to make these flute cuts if you haven't flattened the top yet. So I've actually flattened this one, but you don't need to flatten very far in because you're going to be making a hollow in here, right? So you don't have to worry too much about that. Let me think here. I've actually got two cameras here, one over by the tailstock end too that I can show.
Yeah, look at
So the
that.
next thing, hmm? Yeah. So the
No,
next
nice
thing,
view.
yeah, okay. So the next thing you need to do is to um, mark this blank for about a 50 millimeter um, outside diameter of the box. Now, let me show this. So this is what this box is going to look like, and you need to mark this outside diameter here of the lid a holder by about 50 millimeters, and that'll become clear in a minute. But you need to, so we're going to make the lid fit into that, and we're going to be able to mount it in your chuck. And my chucks are all so it is a G3 Nova chuck. It's 50 million has a 50 millimeter um, set of jaws, right? So
Okay. Hey, Ron,
yeah.
real quick. How deep did you cut the flutes?
Well, I cut them until they were actually until they actually made so they look like this, right?
One V.
So
Right.
yeah, so you have to adjust the
You got to do it.
router bit in and out until it cuts a
Right.
nice clean. And I think
So you do
actually
it.
I think I'm sorry.
So you pretty much do it by eye for the be able to get
Yes,
the full upside down triangle.
yes, that's correct.
Okay.
And you can make it so that it's not as pointy. I put a nice edge on it. I think when Theo did his was more rounded over the top, but I kind of like the look of it when it's a good triangle look like that, right? I'm trying to find some. There's a good picture, maybe. So, so that's how you. I'm sorry, I should have said that's how deep you make the cut. Where did I put my pencil? Here, there's okay. So actually, I marked this already. So I just go from the center over about 25 millimeters, and I put a mark on there, and I'm going to. That tells me where I have to have the outside diameter for the lid. And now I got to take all this stuff off of here. I got all my tools. Okay. And I'm going to actually, oops, going to actually use a Forstner bit. This is a 1 1/4 inch Forstner bit I'm going to use to start the hole so I can save some time in hollowing, right? Okay. Yeah, I really ought to turn the speed of my lathe down too. So this is a fuel style belt driven lathe, right? So excuse me for 1 second while I change my belt. Okay. I guess I need to get one of those fancy variable speed lathes. All right. So again, I've made a mark here on the, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I guess you can. The top of the Forstner bit. That's 40 millimeters down, right?
Yep.
Oh, I made my nice cut. Backing this out. All right, now I'm going to use a scraper to actually scrape out the rest. Now, what I'm gonna need to do is make a lip, right? So do this. Make my lip about an eighth of an inch or so. Beat up my lathe again. All right. I don't know. I guess you can see what I'm doing. One of the things that Theo taught me was that you should be scraping above center, right? And since the fibers of wood are running this direction, it's better to run from or scrape from the inside to the bottom, I guess, is to say to the top. I need to get the nub. There's need to go a little bit deeper. Can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm trying to get the nub off now on the bottom. I think that's it. Now, I'm gonna use my parting tool just to actually lower the tool just a little bit here. All right, I think I'm gonna do just a little more, make that lip a little bit shallower than that. All right, so that's about the 20th step, I guess, right?
Doing good. Doing good,
So
sir.
typically what I would do now is I would sand. I'm not going to do that for you again. I'm not going to get you guys bored with sanding, but you would sand the inside of the box to make sure it's nice and smooth, right? And then what I'm going to do is cut off the box, right? Now, make sure that I have made a couple of holy boxes before, right? Past Wednesday,
Call
so
that
that's
call that a bottomless cupcake,
yeah, bottomless cupcake. There you go. I'm going to use
right?
my smaller.
Call that 0 calories.
Yeah, there you go. too high, isn't it? And you can stick your finger in here, catch it when it comes off, and that's the base, right? So at the end, you can actually put this back in the chuck here because it's 50 millimeters, right? And you can finish the bottom
Yeah.
off. It's not very good now, right? But you can finish that off later. So that's how you make the base of the box. Now what you have to do next is make this flat because this is going to be the bottom of the lid. Okay. Over it, that's good. Pretty choppy. Not a tear out on the end grain, right? So again, typically I would spend more time and make this really flat and beautiful looking. I can do a little bit more maybe with my maybe I'll use my skew to kind of scrape it a little bit.
Looking like a baby butt now.
Yeah, yeah, it looks better now. Okay, so that's going to be the bottom of the lid. Okay, so the next thing you have to do is figure out get my little nib there. Okay, so this is actually I can look and see what this is. So it's actually actually 47 millimeters. Actually, I should have made this a little bigger than that. It's not really the right size, but probably will work. Um, one of the other things that Theo did is he made this thing called he calls it a calorimeter, right, Ruby? And basically, what it is a piece of wood. Kind of show that what it looks like. Yes, there would be the and I put a ruler on it that's in millimeters here and in inches here. What I need to do, I'm going to make a tenon, and it's got to be the size of the top of the box here, right? So okay, I think this is longer. You can tell I'm a new turner, guys, right?
No, you're doing great, Ron.
All right, that's close. And I'm always one for turning a little too much, right? Well, that doesn't fit yet. Yeah, trial and error, right? Okay, so that's exactly
Exactly.
right. Good. All right, so I turn that. Now what I need to do, I put my pencil. Here it is. Now that I need what I need to do, this lid is going to fit over the outside, basically, of the cupcake base. I'll show you what that looks like here. So you actually put it in, and it actually sits below. It actually fits into the lid itself, right?
Very cool.
So you have to mark where the outside of the flute is, right? Okay. Okay. So, and my pencil moved. All right. So now what you need to use is your trusty thin bladed um, parting tool to cut a recess into the bottom of the lid. Another one. I've got to cut out to where that mark is that I made. I'm going to stop. See if this, it doesn't, so it's not quite, maybe just a tad more, a
Really
little
got to sneak
wider.
up on it.
Yeah, I got to sneak up on it, right? Okay, so that's going to go in there, but I didn't make this deep enough here, right? So it actually is sitting proud of the bottom of the where the bottom of the flutes are, right? So I have to cut this back a little bit. Which good thing I didn't make a totally smooth bottom, right? But it hit it back anyway. Now it's sitting perfectly in there. It's actually a little too tight, but that's okay. What I would typically do is sand this anyway, so it would probably make it a little bit better. But so see what I'm doing. This actually fits inside of the bottom of the lid. Now the last thing to do, you get rid of some of these tools, is to shape the top of the lid, right? And we'll get these out of here. You can do that a lot of different ways, I guess, right? I'm trying to find my tools here. Here, try this. So I usually leave about maybe a 16th of an inch or a millimeter and a half on on the bottom of the lid, and then the top of the lid. You really make it any shape you want, right?
Sure.
And I hope
Oh, it'll
it
be all
kind
right.
of Hope I made the tenon the right size here. Yes, it is. Okay. Now I can tighten down. I'm going to reverse chuck everything, right? I'm tightening down the lid into the jaws of the chuck. Now, now you have an option, right? And you can make one. Now we're looking like this, right? Let me take the lid off here. We can make this into a cherry-like thing here, right, on the top. Or the option, which I like better actually, is just a dome like this. I'm going to do a dome, but if you were so inclined, you could make this into a cherry on the top as well. I don't see a lot of cherries on the top of cupcakes around here, right? So I typically do a dome. So I'm going to take a lot off here, right? So like I said, if you wanted to stop about here, this is where you'd start making the cherry on the top. You just basically start making this into a little round ball on the top, but I'm not going to do that. There we go. Way too soft. What am I doing here? And then what I'm going to do is use some knurling tools to put these knurling looking things on it, right?
Nice.
So first you have to get this a little bit smoother. It doesn't have to be super smooth, believe it or not, because
You're gonna be roughing it up anyhow.
you're gonna be roughing it up anyway, right? So the same thing with the when I was sanding the cupcake base, I actually went to just 240 grit sandpaper, and the reason is that actually that um, ink that comes out of those Tomboy pens actually sticks better, I think, when you haven't got it too smooth. So don't need to do a lot of sanding on this particular project. So basically, you just make the top whatever shape you want. Now the few here I could use to make it smoother. So again, typically I would sand it probably to 240. It doesn't look too bad actually right there. And I got these um, knurling tools from I guess it's Brown's Best, but these are Wagner knurling tools. They put in different looking patterns based on which one you use, right? And it depends on also where you put the height of the tool rest. It makes a different pattern based upon whether you have that tool rest above center, at center, or below center. I'm going to start the first one below center or at center. And again, I can't be at too high a speed for this. It's got to be like 500 RPM. Move my belt. Oh, wait, hang on, guys. Sorry about that.
No, you're doing okay.
All right.
Don't worry about it. No
Yeah, I just need.
demoitis. I don't want to jinx it. You're almost done, but you got this, Ron.
Yeah, it's not doing bad, huh?
Right? You're killing it.
All right. So the other thing you got to be careful of is that your knurling tool doesn't knurl your the top of your tool rest either. So you got to pull it back far enough, right? Start this one here. I'm putting a lot of pressure. This is hard wood, actually. Oop. And, I think I had my head in the way, didn't I? Yeah, like that. So that's the first. Not doing too well, is it? That's a problem with these tools, right? Sometimes they work good and sometimes they don't. I've just lowered the tool rest a little bit. Let's try a different one here. A better pattern. You really can't see it very well. Use a different knurling tool. I'll go above center this time.
About how fast you turn in there, Ron?
I'm at about 400 RPM.
Yep. Okay. That's what I was
I
thinking.
think you're supposed to
Right on.
be. I think you're supposed to be like 500 or thereabouts when
Right.
you do this.
Yeah.
When
Somewhere
you do
between
knurling.
4 and 6. Yeah.
I missed one right here. I'll show you what it looks like in just a second. Okay, so next thing, we have these all of these little pens of different colors, right? And typically, what I would do is brush all the detritus off of these, right? And then you pretty slow speed, just the different colors, right? Purple. I put that purple one over here before, didn't I? Okay. Put anything on there, but you get the point, I guess, right? And typically, what I like to do is then use a 3-point tool to actually put a 3-point tool. This is a 3-point tool, right? With the you can see that. Probably can't see too well, right?
Yeah, you can see it.
To actually put delineations between the different colors. I think it looks better that way. I've done it both ways. Taken the I'll take this off so you can see it better because I don't think you actually saw what I was doing the whole time. Did I? Did you? That's kind of the different patterns you get.
Oh, that's nice. And are you
So
using the same type of markers?
yes, these are Tombow. These are all Tombow markers, right? I mean, you can use anything you want. I think that you could probably even use Sharpies if you wanted to. But anyway, that's kind of the end of the demo. Really, the next thing I would do is take the lid off, put the base back on, and I screwed up and made it too big. Anyway, so I would have to use something else to get to the bottom of this box. Typically, what I would do is undercut the bottom of the box a little bit so it sits flat on the table, right? But that's kind of what it takes to make a I'll go back here. Oops,
There he is.
I'm back.
Ron, did you say Tenbo? Is that Tenbo markers?
It's Tombow, Tombow.
Tombo. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if you can see
There you go.
hang on here. Got a wire hanging down. Anyway,
Got
I gotta
lower.
find out how to there we go, Tombow. Anyway, Tombow, Tombow.
Yeah, somebody will find the link and throw it in the chat. So that's great.
Yeah.
What would you do to finish the final product here?
Well, I usually use lacquer, so I just spray them with lacquer, you know. So this has been sprayed with lacquer, I know. So
Can you hold up one of your finished ones?
yeah, this is one that's got the kind of like cherry on top,
Right.
and then this is like more of a dome, and it's got a pretty big dome, right? Pretty tall dome. So and then this is a really huge one that I made. I think it was a 4 inch square blank that I used. But it looks like that, right? And then
You
there,
know, it's given this little project has given me the idea of, granted, if I
yeah,
had more access to it, but like your maple burls that has all the pins, the external pins, and you turn the lid to where you have all the little pins, standing straight up as the top of the lid. That would look really good.
yeah. And this one I put a little fake diamond in the bottom of it, right? Right,
Okay,
a
yeah, it
little
almost makes it
in the
look like an
bottom of the
eye.
lid. So you can also do the knurling on the bottom of the lid.
Yeah, those are great, great project.
Ron,
Well,
you did an excellent job, and Theo would be very proud of you.
well,
I'll let him know you did the demo.
yeah, yeah. You can tell him I ripped him off, right? But he does a lot better job. He's a funny guy. Actually, I love his the demos that he does because of he's got such a great personality. But and then he also, you know, he did something on the top of the lid that I haven't been able to replicate, which he actually used a like a nail set and you know actually pounded into the wood with a nail set, and then he soaked it in water, and then I don't know how long. It wasn't very long. I don't think it was maybe 5 minutes or something. And those little nail sets actually popped up out of the wood. They expanded, right, and then you
What you
can
do
color
is,
those.
yeah, what you do is you soak the wood first, then you
Ah,
mount the image into it, and then when you dry it, the wood comes up.
oh, okay. I did it backwards. Anyway, okay. So that's another way to do it. And then he also had a way to make a swirl at the top, but you know, I'm not a good enough turner to do that kind of stuff. Where I think he had it was probably I don't know what kind of gouge he was using, right? But anyway, I think he didn't turn the lathe off when it was running, did he, Ruby? I think he just had it vibrating or something and had it make look like there was a swirl on the top of the cupcake.
Right, the lathe
So
was running when he did it, but he
yeah,
had a lot of overhang to create a lot of vibration.
ah, Okay. All right. Yeah. So
Nice job.
it's hard to
Yeah.
replicate something that somebody else does, but
No, I
I'm
think you came pretty close to doing a very good job of it.
Yeah, I think you
uh,
did outstanding, Ron. You
Great
took the
job. Great job.
inspiration from somebody else and you turned it into your own with your own process, with your own technique. You did an you
well,
were
I
able to
appreciate.
you're able to portray all the steps very easily, very learnable in this demo. There's been a lot of chatter in the chat on when are the plans going to be available. The plans will be available tomorrow on the website. They're sitting in Dave's inbox.
Yeah,
And
those are
his
these
to-do
things here,
list.
right? I actually sent these
Yes,
to Dane, and he's going to put these,
yes,
post these, the whole thing with including these pictures, right? That's
right. Yeah,
you
he
know,
got a double set of them. I sent them as well yesterday. So
anyway.
you did a fantastic job, Ron, and
Well,
especially if it's your first demo for the club.
it's my second demo total, so that's
It's all right. We've ripped that scab off because
yeah.
come May we'll get you to do something again. So
All right, all right.
Now, Ron,
great job.
you also taught a class on this too, so I think you got to count that also.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Were you at
Oh
that class,
no,
Matt?
no,
I helped and
we're adding
I
up.
consulted. That's for sure.
Yeah. So this is I can't remember who was there. This is when we were doing workshops, right? Our club
Yeah,
hasn't
when
been
we were
able to do
over in
workshops.
We
Yeah,
were in Performance Tool.
yeah, we were
yeah,
in
we were on
performance
Performance
tool.
Tool.
Is that Jeff?
Yes, I'm here.
I didn't think you were going to be on tonight.
I didn't either, but everything kind of ended early for my group, so I logged in.
Oh, good. And you're feeling better, I hope.
Much better.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's great.
Thank you.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah.
That'll work. All right.
I'm
Thank you
kind
very
of
much,
kind of
sir.
nervous, guys. Sorry about that. If it didn't go exactly as I wanted, but it's that's the way it goes.
You
Well,
did
you're the
great,
only one
Ron.
that you're
Nicely
the only
done.
one that knows that because everything else that came through to us on the video here on Zoom, it looked like you knew exactly what you were doing. Everything that you needed to
Mm,
reach and grab was right where it was supposed to be at. So
mm.
no worries at all. You
All
made
right,
it look
cool.
so simple for a new person to be able to demonstrate. And as always, I'm always soliciting and looking for new folks to come invite us into their shop. Ron just showed you how easy it is to do. So
That's
hit me up.
You
That's
did
with
great,
that.
Ron. Have you
I'm
ever
gonna,
seen
I'm
one of
gonna
my
let Ron.
demos?
Right.
Ron,
So with that,
nothing
we'll
broke,
let.
nothing. Said as Raffin always says, a demo that goes perfect is boring as sin to watch. So you
Yeah,
got to have something mess up, or it doesn't. It's just not exciting.
That's
yeah.
right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing,
Amen.
I got a
Amen.
cold. Got a cold a couple of days ago. It's going away now, but I was worried about my throat, but I guess it turned out okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it works. It works. And then
But I
Mr.
appreciate the help
Carver.
trying to get. I was appreciate the help. I don't know if it was Billy or somebody was helping with the audio on these
Yeah,
things.
Billy.
So
Yeah, it
on
was Billy.
OBS. So
I was conferring with.
yeah.
Hey, the only
My,
thing you
my
dropped was
pleasure.
your was your wrench for the chuck. That was a good deal.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's not
Well,
important.
I have magnets on my lathe here to catch all that stuff, right?
Hey, Ron, that was very enjoyable. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate
Yeah.
it, guys.
That was very enjoyable. I think my
Yeah, for
grandson's
sure.
going to get a couple of them.
Yeah,
Right.
I give them away, and the grandkids really love them. So
What kind of cutter bit did you have on your router?
it's a 90-degree,
Okay.
just a regular 90-degree bit. I don't know what the name of it is. This is a trim route. I'm trying to show it this way. I should be showing it this way, right? Anyway, it's a regular 90-degree bit with a 1/4 inch shaft, and a trim router. So
Right.
Looks like it's
That's very
the
enjoyable.
same
Very
style of
enjoyable.
what Mr. Duxbury was using on his
Right.
fluted inlay.
yeah, he did.
Exactly.
Yeah, he did that 2
ago.
weeks ago, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah. Once again, thank you very much. And